Feeling ourselves like we're something brand new. Tripping cause we getting too hot, right, boo? Cooking like we're cooking a stew. Too good looking, that's me and you. Crown we took it, none left to prove. Styling it, wilding it nice and smooth. Cooking, cooking on a, cooking, cooking on a, cooking on a beat like, cooking on a, cooking, cooking on a, cooking on a beat like, ooh, kicking on a mix like we doing kung fu. Feeling ourselves like we somewhere new. Tripping cause we getting too hot, right, boo? Cooking like we're cooking a stew. Too good looking, that's me and you. Crown we took it, none left to prove. Styling it, wilding it nice and smooth. Cooking. was mixed a long time ago. For those that can dance and clap your hands to it. Dance with the record that was mixed a long time ago. Dance with the record that was mixed a long time ago. Dance with the record that was mixed a long time ago. I start to dance and then I sing it to the dance with the record that was mixed a long time ago. Dance with the record that was mixed a long time ago. Dance with the record that was mixed a long time ago. For those that can dance and clap your hands to it. Dance with the record that was mixed a long time ago. Dance with the record that was mixed a long time ago. Dance with the record that was mixed a long time ago. I start to dance and then I sing it to the Slowly, you're dancing here like you know me. You don't own me. You're dancing here like you know me. You don't own me. Move slowly. You had me dreaming. Give me a reason. Tell me why you let me go. And if you want me, just say you want me. And let your feelings unfold. Move slowly. You're dancing here like you know me. You don't own me. You're dancing here like you know me. You don't own me. You had me dreaming. Give me a reason. And if you want me, just say you want me. You had me dreaming. Give me a reason. Tell me why you let me go. And if you want me, just say you want me. And let your feelings unfold. Move slowly. You're dancing here like you know me. You don't own me. You're dancing here like you know me. You don't own me.
Okay, I think we can start. We'll have like a little bit of content, and then we'll have some knowledge and exchange during the session. Because I see we have some people waiting for us on the stream. Can you put maybe my presentation? Let's maybe music down and then hello everyone. Really great pleasure to be here. I know that the timing is not the best. It's like almost the Christmas. So it's usually the mobile gaming and apps, not the first thing we are like thinking about, but it's still a good opportunity to meet here in Krakow. Welcome everyone who is joining us online as well. It's kind of good opportunity to again meet again in these topics related to mobile gaming and apps. We will have a few presentations together. So we had this networking in Krakow. Then we have 4 presentations, mine about the growth of mobile gaming and apps, what is happening now. Then Agnieszka should be sharing about her approach towards testing new concept via meta and social media. I will be talking about what is happening in the mobile gaming and apps investment landscape. And then Svetlana will be talking from Unity. She will be talking about creative concepts in user acquisition, about new creative types of the ads. And I think, again, would be really interesting content. So, again, as always, at the end, we have some pizza and some beer here in Krakow. Whoever is like online, he can just maybe a little bit jealous. Feel free to join us offline next time as well. And again, not spending much more time. As always, we'll be trying to facilitate some discussion, not only for the people who are here offline, but the people who can join us online as well. So after every presentation, you can just ask the question at Slido, adding either this name, GameCamp as the name of the event, or just directly by using this QR code. Okay, so not spending more time, I will be talking about what is happening now in terms of the growth, mobile gaming and apps. I'm kind of trying more and more combine topics of gaming and apps because I see more and more connections between those words. More and more people are moving between those 2 words. More and more solutions are used both in gaming and apps, and then we see even more monetization ideas coming from gaming to apps, and then on the other side, coming from apps to gaming as well. So if we look at as always, of course, my presentation, we have a lot of numbers. Again, I love numbers. I believe that whatever doesn't kill you, it makes you stronger because it gives you a little bit more idea what's happening. So if we look at the data, very recent data, what is happening now, we can see that overall that's, for example, what is happening in the mobile gaming apps. So we see the last few months were pretty good for the mobile gaming. Again, combining both iOS and Android, excluding China. So October 2025 was very strong. November a little bit slower, but of course we see much higher growth of revenue than downloads. If we look deeper and we look at the kind of quarterly data, we see that overall 2025 was pretty strong. The end of this quarter was a little bit harder for iOS. Beginning of the year was really good for iOS, but most likely Q4 2025 will be strong for iOS, because if we look at the data around iOS shipments and about iPhone shipments, for example, we see that almost every year for the last many years, Q4 was very, very strong for iPhones. Yeah? So overall, December, we need to kind of be expecting very strong data for iOS. Again, even if we look at the yearly data around the share of the iOS device among all devices, you should expect that December should be quite strong for iOS devices overall. If we compare that mobile gaming data with apps data, then of course apps have much higher growth rate, because here is the comparison what's happening in the non-gaming apps. And you see that the non-gaming apps in terms of in-app purchases and subscriptions, they have like 20, very often 20 plus year-over-year growth rate for the last many months. We have the same behavior as overall in the gaming, that overall the revenue and monetization grows much faster than downloads, but overall non-gaming apps are really growing very fast, but there are some nuances around that, and I will talk about that deeper. So if we start to look at that deeper, and we combine and compare apps and gaming together, you see that we have the columns are showing revenue growth year over year, and lines that are showing downloads. Again, you see that apps that are like kind of non-gaming apps are giving much better growth, but still even gaming is actually improving overall. But we see that overall the non-gaming is actually in the last months is growing very fast comparing to gaming, which of course I think is creating a lot of questions. Does the non-gaming growth is cannibalizing mobile, that is mobile gaming? To which extent, for example, growth of user acquisition in non-gaming is influencing growth of the cost in gaming? So that's why I would say more and more overall we're talking not separately about that's gaming, that's non-gaming, but how those actually words are really connecting with each other. So that's why overall, if we look at the last 12 months, last 12 months of data, including November 2025, we see that overall the apps revenue is higher than games revenue. Of course, still, if we look at the downloads, still 65% of total apps are non-gaming and 35 are gaming. But that's I think, general view. And for the last, I think, quite a few months, there are like some articles saying, non-gaming is eating the gaming, or like I saw such big articles around it. It's a bit more nuances, and now we will talk about that. Because if we start to go deeper, and we look and more like at downloads, for example, separate the Android and iOS, we see actually quite interesting difference. For example, see how it's not so huge difference, for example, between downloads on Android and apps versus on games. So like, games are total 30%, apps are 50%. But look what's happening on the downloads on iOS, on iPhone. Downloads in games are like 4%, in apps are like 15%. Yeah. So for example, on iOS, in iPhone, like in Android, we can say that apps downloads are like 60% higher than games. But if we look at the iPhone, the downloads on apps are like four times higher than you see the total downloads. iPhone in games is like just 4%. In apps, it's like 14%. It's even more interesting when we look at the revenue. We look even the revenue. See how overall, if we talk about this, like that apps are getting big, we see that how actually this growth is especially happening on iPhone overall in iOS. That's the revenue. So for example, see, this is the revenue on Android on games. It's even higher than revenue from apps from Android. But see how huge is actually revenue in apps on iPhone. So actually, if we are talking that these apps are getting bigger, are like most of the growth is actually coming just from iPhone, just from iOS. You see again, the apps by revenue on iPhone is like almost 50% higher than on games, versus in case of Android, this difference is very small, like just a few percentage. So that's one important thing. Then the second one, it's actually quite interesting to look at the revenue distribution in terms of the apps and games. So for example, see how huge revenue is taken by top apps overall. So for example, of course, we have revenue concentration that is quite high on games, but actually this revenue concentration is even way, way bigger in apps. So for example, you see 10 top apps are responsible for 30% of revenue. So, and if we go deeper, we can see even why it's happening, yeah? So we see that we have just a few really kind of leading apps that are really taking huge percentage of the revenue. So we have like, TikTok, we have Google, like, which is like, for example, like, the apps on Google, like, we have YouTube, ChatGPT. And then everything else is kind of, smaller. Versus, for example, on Android, if we look at games, then it's kind of much more distributed. So that's why, again, if we look overall at this revenue concentration, games are are concentrated, but still more distributed in concentration. In apps, we have either very, very top apps, or then we have more niche apps. So that's why I would say if someone is looking growth in apps, either he needs to be one of the top ones, or again, he's looking for some niche market. And then I think it's very important to remember, yeah? So again, here is even more detailed data around Android, where, for example, you see that in Google Play, again, top 10% of apps responsible on games for 22% of revenue, versus in apps is almost 40%. So again, revenue concentration in apps is huge. So in some way, we have still kind of strong composition of gaming in apps revenue, but it's not that we are talking exactly about the same revenue, the same distribution. So in this case, we can ask ourselves, okay, does the cannibalization exist? To which extent mobile gaming is influencing the apps and vice versa? And there is not really any research showing to which extent for example, purchases in apps are influencing games. But at the same time, if we look at the data, that's the data, again, it's very complex, but it's very fresh data coming from GVI, which is like one of the best sources around the behavior of internet users. And it's quite interesting research because it's done in 54 countries at the same time. It's done every quarter, which means that even the data for 2025 is very, very fresh. That is data for US. And we have the question, okay, in last month, which of those have you paid for? And we see that overall, there is probably something like as the ceiling for the purchases in the online content. So like, let's see, whatever we have the kind of type of the content, of course, it was growing to specific times, starting from 2018. And then, of course, like years like 2020, 2021, 2023 was kind of accelerating that. But at specific point, it's not kind of growing anymore. Or at least it's much less than it used to be. Which means that, of course, if we see the revenue growing in apps, it does not really kind of cannibalize games, but there is specific ratio or like specific range of the purchases or like amount of money that people are spending that is kind of, I would not say fixed, but once people start to reach it, it will be harder to grow it. Even if we have the question, if we have the answer, okay, I did not buy anything from that, we see that for the last 2 years, it's kind of getting constant. What is actually more interesting, that most likely we'll see much more growth, not in countries like US, but in emerging countries like in Poland. Because, for example, let's see, here is the data for Poland, and we see that even if we have that question around, for example, I did not buy anything like that. You see that, for example, in US, it was quite constant, but in Poland, it's still declining. So people are still buying more than they used to. So that's why I would say, overall, probably in the next years, we can expect this kind of monetization ceiling, which be more approaching in the Western countries than in emerging markets. Because, for example, here is the Poland, but if you look, for example, in Vietnam, we have very similar approach. Yeah, that still, in those markets, people are buying a little bit more than they used to. And with that, of course, we can ask ourselves, okay, where is the growth in those businesses? So if we know, okay, there is this growth that is average, like the gaming is growing more probably around like 6% year over year. Of course, it doesn't include direct to consumer purchases. So probably the final growth is a little bit higher. But still we know that even looking at the last data, the mobile gaming does not go away. Because, for example, if we look here about the data, okay, which of the devices did you use to play gaming? We see that even in those Western markets, the ratio of the people who are playing on mobile is actually growing. So again, it's kind of positive information. The same in emerging markets. So again, mobile gaming is still growing. There is specific ceiling of the data, a specific ceiling where people probably will not be spending more than that kind of ceiling. But what is actually quite worrying is that even if the monetization is growing, the people are still playing, higher percentage of internet users are playing. Overall, playing time is not really growing. So we see that, for example, here is the information about what is the year-over-year number for the time spent in games. And we see that for the last few months, it's not really growing. It's kind of declining. Yeah? So that's actually, I think, the challenge around the gaming and overall that as is becoming part of the entertainment, it's getting harder and harder to make sure that people will be actually really engaged in the content. And then, of course, it's even coming from the topics like what is happening in user acquisition. Let's see. This is the data from the Google data around what percentage of user acquisition, the specific categories, it's coming from TROAS solutions. And you see that almost in all categories, majority of the revenue comes from TROAS solutions. And why it's so important? Because overall, the people in growth are they're trying to minimize the risk. And of course, for example, solutions like TROAS, when you say, okay, I want to have 30% ROAS from my marketing spend after 7 days, it's really great to minimize the risk. But then you are caring less about engagement, about downloads. You are looking at the monetization. So that, I think, finally creates this wave that overall industry is just caring more and more about monetization, caring less about, okay, how many people really we kind of, move to our game. How much engagement we really added to our games. And that, I think, is kind of dangerous for the long term. I'm not saying it's bad. I think it's really great from the perspective of the growth. I think just in the gaming, and it's coming to the apps as well, there is too much discussion about monetization, not much discussion about engagement, and making sure that people are really spending more time and more engagement with that content. Because, again, the monetization has specific ceiling. If people are not engaged more, then once they reach that ceiling, they will not spend more. So if we look at the growth opportunities, I think it's even coming from this like no countries. Yeah, I was sharing that the data around the countries a few times already, just to explain whoever did not see the data. That data is showing what is the revenue coming from different markets, where each market is shown by two pieces of data, 2025 and 2024. 2025 means year 2025 versus 2024, and then the year 2024 means 2024 versus 2023. So we see, for example, in revenue that US, it's really important in terms of revenue in gaming, but it's important in 2025, it's much lower in 2024. So it used to be that, and it's still the case that, for example, the user acquisition growth is focused on tier 1 markets, but competition about those markets will be growing more and more. Because very often, they are not growing at all in terms of downloads. You see that US, for example, is actually declining in terms of the downloads, which means that if the revenue is growing much faster in the specific market than download, that means that cost of download will be growing up. No another way. And then, if we even see that the revenue is growing, it's declining, then the competition about users in that market is growing more. So that's why I'm expecting actually to be much more focused in the next months on those smaller markets, not only on like US, because for example, you see that Italy is getting important market actually. Yes, of course, it's still much smaller than US, but see, it's still, for example, positive in terms of the year-over-year in terms of downloads, it's still positive in terms of the revenue. And of course, we have even more markets that, again, markets like Brazil, Thailand, for example. Even if we go deeper, we can even see that that structure is even quite interesting, even compared between non-gaming and gaming. For example, on the general level, it's very easy to see that, for example, importance of US as the market is much important in non-gaming than in gaming. So what is happening, like most of the very kind of monetized focus non-gaming apps are very focusing on US, sometimes too much. Because again, this US is not growing as it used to be. And I think sometimes people are not looking deeply on what's really changing on the market. Yes, it's kind of chicken-egg equation. There is not much monetization, so people are not focusing on that market. As they are not focusing on that market, then they are not really growing. And here is the quite interesting example that is showing what is changing when the focus of the specific market is really important for the specific market. For example, here is the data comparing the structure of a few countries between match 3 and board games. Match 3 is about US, yes? Of course, we see that 40% of spend in match 3 in Google is on US. But for example, in board games, see how much more revenue, how much more spend is actually put, for example, to the India. Because Indian people, they love board games. They love logic puzzles. They love that type of content. Yes, so I think we'll see more and more examples of the different categories, different types of the games that are becoming important in terms of those emerging markets. Here is even another example coming for card games. Again, from user acquisition coming from Google. When you see that, for example, in 2024, in those games, India was 5% of the spend. In 2025, it was 13% of the spend. So I think a lot of we are discussing those emerging markets, growing markets, and still not enough done in that space, even if the data shows in many, many cases that actually, okay, those markets are really growing. And if someone is still in 2025 focusing on non-US, in the same way as he was doing, for example, in 2020 or 2022, it will be very hard to expect long-term growth for that. Even if we go deeper, and if we look at what is important of different markets, for example, in gaming and non-gaming, you see what's happening. Like in non-gaming, that's the revenue from US. But even in US, even non-gaming, we saw that overall, the non-gaming revenue is growing 20% year over year, yes? But in US, it's growing 0%. Even that growth, this 20%, is not coming from US, it's coming from other markets. So that's why I think whoever is thinking about long-term growth, both in gaming and apps, again, it used to be only in gaming that we were discussing emerging markets, because again, apps were very US heavy, but even apps are following the same trend, that this monetization and the seeding in apps is coming to the US as well, for example, and we'll see much more growth coming from other markets. Because if we look at, for example, gaming, then we see even more actually difference in terms of what is happening there. Oh, sorry. Okay, so that would be all from my side. Just to kind of, summarize, non-gaming grows much faster than gaming, but still gaming is improving. That is good. But there are significant differences between non-gaming and gaming revenue. So if someone is saying, non-gaming is eating the gaming, it's too much simplification, yeah? Because again, structure of that revenue is totally different. It is a different revenue concentration as well. So overall of the industry, it matters, but it's much more complex and kind of deep than we just discussed. And again, emerging markets will be getting more and more important, not only in the gaming, but we can expect that in non-gaming as well. And that would be all from my side. I'm sharing a lot of different reports on LinkedIn, so if you'd like to kind of see them, feel free to download them. And that would be all. If you have any questions, happy to answer those questions. Yeah, so I think we can check if we have some questions. If we see it. No. Any questions? Yes? Mm-hmm. So, yeah. The question was, I will repeat in case of people could not hear it. So the question was, because that on the slides we have only in-app revenue subscriptions, what we can expect in terms of the in-ad, revenue in ads versus direct-to-consumer revenue. So it's actually, of course, a complex topic. Overall, there are a few sources around in-game advertising, in-app advertising. I would say it's much less structured because still we don't have so much kind of good sources like Sensor Tower, AppMagic, and so on in case of ad revenue. But what we can see is that overall, in many markets, ad revenue is much bigger than in-app revenue. Yeah? So for example, markets like Brazil, in those markets, in-gaming advertising is actually almost 3 times bigger than in-app revenue in subscriptions. So that's one. I think there are markets like US, Brazil, Mexico, Indonesia, like all those markets that have a lot of users where the revenue grows very fast there. The second is that overall, based on different sources, the estimation is that the total mobile gaming in-apps per subscription is around 95 billion. The in-game advertising is most likely around 105, 110. So it's even most likely even bigger, and it's growing faster. So expected kind of growth rate for the in-game advertising is something around 12% in the 2025, which means that finally it's huge chunk of the revenue is just much less concentrated than in case of in-app revenue. Yeah? So that's why if you have smaller games, smaller developers, very often the in-game or in-app advertising is bringing much more revenue to them than just coming from the reports. But if you reach out to me or actually on LinkedIn, I'm happy to share you more information because actually I was even creating a few reports around that. So I'm happy to kind of provide you more data around that. And yes. So the question was, as I understand, are those apps and games are in the same advertising networks? Yeah, they are using the same placements. So they're not I would say there is not direct answer. Something that I know for sure is that, for example, let's see importance of AdMob. It's bigger in apps than in gaming, for example. Yeah. I would say in gaming, you have more importance of these either specialized kind of networks. I think it's changing as well, because I will be talking about that a little bit later, that the difference between game and app is really kind of shrinking. So let's see if we talk about this Duolingo, similar type of apps. It's not even easy anymore to answer this is like the app or game, yeah? So it's kind of app from the utility perspective, but if you look at the techniques in the the different monetization techniques, they're actually getting very similar to the gaming, yeah? That's why overall the monetization of the apps is really growing, which means that finally, I think it used to be that apps had very simple kind of monetization and simple ad formats, simple banners or the very simple. But now I see more and more when they have more sophisticated formats as well. And I think they see more and more targeted traffic as well, which wasn't the case in the past. Yeah, very often apps were buying very simple, very cheap traffic when the monetization was very, very low. Now, when you have, let's see, quite a few networks, for example, are offering the tier OS solutions for ad revenue, for example. Yeah, so you can bring more high-value users even in the ad monetization. Then, of course, the quality of the users is growing. By that, you can offer them, I would say, more sophisticated monetization techniques as well. Okay, thank you very much. So then let's invite, yeah, sorry. Yeah, so let's invite Agnieszka. She'll be talking about testing the creative concepts. Stage yours.
Hello, everyone. I hope that today's topic won't be so basic for you, because I wanted to touch upon some different aspects that are, for me, really a baseline. And sometimes when I do audits, I do not see them in many companies on different stage of developments. When it comes to me, I have around 11 years of experience in paid advertising. The story behind my career or choice of a career is really weird, because I wanted for my whole life to be a judge. but that didn't happen. I didn't choose the lawyer studies and so on. Instead, I went to Warsaw School of Economics and decided to join a team who wanted to take a part in Google Marketing Online Challenge. We have won that competition with Legia Warszawa. And that's how the story started for me in paid advertising, so many plot and twists. I used to work for Vivid Games in mobile marketing, Magix, or for example, more locally known companies like Blix. Currently, I advise for Steamy AI and Zumba. Also, I work with JCI. And when it comes to me, mostly I'm doing paid acquisition in Meta or Google Ads, but I'm also keen to work with TikTok and other social channels. But today I think we will focus mostly on Meta and testing the concepts of creatives. For me, when I'm looking into the world that we are seeing, right now we are having a lot of new opportunities. Everything is better, new, more interesting, or more taking our attention from the core things that we are keen to see. And I think that when it comes to user acquisition, this is something that we have to also take into account when preparing creatives, because we cannot work against the trends that are on market. We have to try to find a solution how to work with the trends. Maybe not exactly with the solutions that the trends propose, but to find something good for each title that we work with. What's interesting, I think that when you are thinking about the creatives concepts and the creatives that are taking the huge reach and the most of the traffic, you can easily find the trends and problems that are touched upon in those creatives. On this graph with trends and technology, which is still actual, apart from the time that it is dated around 2010 and plus, because I think that some concepts we started to talk upon a few years ago, but those are still meaningful here on this chart. For example, personalization or globalization, localism. So you can even find some information that you can follow in the trend spotting to take into account for your ads. When it comes to the process, I think that when we are going into details, we are thinking about choosing the best channel, and depending on what you want to achieve or what ads you want to test, I would look into 2 or 3 channels. One of it is Meta and Google Ads, and another can be TikTok. When you are developing different video games. But I would say that probably it's something that you all know. Meta is having the quickest data from the optimization, and you can easily find concepts that are engaging there. But also when you are thinking about the creative process, I think that there is a huge discussion between different approaches to creatives, because sometimes we want to have the results as quickly as possible, and then we optimize for the events or actions that are higher in the funnel than lower. to get the results just to know if concept is working. But I think that it can be a problem with current update with Andromeda for some new games and concepts, because if we train the model with really high funnel events, which can be a low quality users, we can have a problem with further optimization of the funnel. And I think this is the really important question, what to optimize for. And it should be the basics before the starting the testing itself. I think that when you are going into those setup of the campaigns, you have three approaches with the installs, and app, and ROAS and purchase optimization. Mostly I'm wanted to touch upon here because when you are clear what you are going into, you can also define what you want to optimize and how to test. Because different results will be driven to different creatives in all of the optimization methods. I think that the basic definition that you should take into account is how you define the active user, because when I'm doing some audits, some game companies do not always know what the user is that they want to pay for, because sometimes it is finished tutorial, sometimes it's some daily action. For example, stay in game for some amount of time. And the definition is unclear, and this provides us an answer how we should optimize our campaigns and what event or timing we should be looking to into the monetization. How this can also approach the question of the creatives and story building. As you probably know, with Andromeda update on Meta, there is a change that you can provide different concepts, and Facebook will optimize towards the users and the stages that user is currently in the funnel. So, for example, if the user is not knowing the brand, the game, they will be serving them less more developed creatives in telling what the game is about. And when the user is more familiar or used to the segment that you are advertising, they will be served with more like action ads and so on. So we give Andromeda a really huge chunk of change in this optimization, but I'm not sure if you have seen this on your account earlier on, but probably Andromeda update was even earlier on the accounts that the whole LinkedIn started saying, because if I'm correct, it was around 1 year ago that Meta started talking about the changes in the optimization on their Meta summits. And for example, if you see that some creatives are working really well, you can try to do new creatives with different type of formats. For example, you can go into some short animation GIF formats, carousel ads, collection ads, apart from video, because it's also refreshing for the Andromeda. One interesting fact is that lately, when I was doing some creative sessions with Zumba, we were talking with Meta accountant, and there was even a talk about the 20% of text overlay that is still like mandatory to not extend it on the creatives. So even some stories are shifting when it comes to the creative building in Meta. I think when it comes to a creative process, apart from like the good definition how you want to achieve the results from testing, you should also have the process how to cut off the creatives that are not really performing for you well, because staying too long with the creatives that are not giving you results also drives you with the higher costs and lower budget for the best performance. So for example, it is easy to set some rules against cost per action, that it shouldn't be exceeding some volume, or it shouldn't be exceeding some amount spent without any action taken within this creative in the last 7 days. But also you can monitor CTRs and CPCs on creatives to have like early signals on and decide if it's like users are not engaging, just clicking that and not going into the game and install it. I think that apart from the testing itself, you also need to go into some creative process with reporting and discussion how you want to work on the creatives, because when I was working with different companies, the best process was where we were having regular meetings about only creatives and talking about the metrics that we are achieving, the ideas that were the best of, but also what we have found with the segments that we were interested in, and we were actively looking, for example, bi-weekly or weekly for new concept and creatives to share and prioritize over those meetings. But also, if you are talking about the data, you can see that, for example, some concepts were not tested into other channels. So we can try to adopt them into, for example, Google or TikTok then, to see if they will also take up the revenue and work well. Also, when it comes to the creative process, I think that sometimes we do not have time for proper marketing research, or we just stick to the competition that we know. But I think that it can open our eyes in different spectrums when we are looking into genres and also bigger picture of the competition. Because right now, as Mariusz was saying about the cannibalization, I also think that we are not competing only for the apps that are giving some utilities, but also we are competing for the attention of the user. So we have to take a broader spectrum what users are looking into and what kind of the creatives we need to take into account. Because, for example, we can find some solution in other places that we are not really looking to. For example, I think that if you are working on different creatives and also trying to find strategy to work to have the new game really good on having great installs and revenue, I think that we should not always focus on the main competitor where it is, for example, obvious that we want to be better than game X. An example that we see here, Smash Fight was thinking about the taking users from Smashing 4, which was, I think, short-sighted because those both words, Smash and Fight, as from ASO perspective, are not the best for positioning. But when comparing to Smashing 4, it was a simple solution that for them might probably worked. Maybe in future with huge budgets and lots of time for testing. But organically, that game didn't exist at all, even with some small changes with the titles. So after some research and also working on the different keywords, I proposed a change with the title to increase the conversion. And and you can see that we have changed the conversion range for 1.6% to 6.9%. Which is a huge difference with this game and the cost of installs that we were having across the market, different markets, and the number of the users that were just falling out because of the title that was generating the wrong idea about the game. Also, another change here with the game, I think that if you want to go into like old style or cartoonish creatives, you have to also do some proper research because as you see here, those creatives are really, I would say, generic and easy to create. Without like a second thought of utility, what user is seeing and thinking about the game or what is it actually about. And when it comes to like creative concepts, you can take different inspirations from not only the genre that you are thinking of. It is really funny because this is the inspiration to those creatives coming from my time as I was working with Real Boxing 2. We were here positioning the beasts more as a fighters, and it also improved the performance of the creatives and also engagement because we couldn't go through some like normal metrics that were regular for the niche. And with the change of the creatives, we started to have them above the average on the market. Also, when I'm doing some audits, I see that it is probably not regular thing, but it sometimes occurs really a lot, that when we look into Google Ads, we are not really looking into the full potential because sometimes we are not using all the text possible, not all slots for display or videos. And even if we were using it, we are using it a lot for a long time. Which is also something that could be changed because regular refreshment is needed as you are in the creative process. And I think that it is something that can hugely improve the performance, maybe not straight away, but over the time you will see the change with a proper time spent on the refreshments. Yes, and when it comes to how to proceed with the creatives, I think that the regular updating is really important, and even if you are changing the slots that are not having results yet, you can give yourself a boost for something that maybe will come as a clear winner in the creatives. I would say that with testing process, you have to find a solution that works within your team. You have to try and fail because one time the structure of the meetings or time adopted for those meetings is too long or too short. And this is something that comes with iteration and practice that you can change easily within the scope that you are working. But also, I think we have to be realistic about the process because when you have not really much people to do production, you have to also have the process that is adaptable for the time of the production and also the slots that you are wanting to change in the campaigns that you are working on. And I would say that the biggest key factor, as always, is to act regularly upon the creatives and also the UA process itself. So thank you for the time. And do you have any questions? Okay, what is the cost of one creative test testing 3 different creative concepts in casual games in the United States? Okay, I would say that unfortunately it always depends, and it is the normal answer that you will get, but I think that we should obtain at least around 100 installs per creative or more or less to make it like meaningful, but also with the Andromeda update, I think it's not really the results that you will see, because after 1 day or 2 you will see that one of these creatives will just have better results. And this is the change that we are currently seeing in meta, that not all the concepts get the traffic that we want to like properly test. You can always try to put creatives in different ad sets, but it means that you have to have a daily budget the same, and you should track also the number of installs to make it more relevant to the test. So it depends on mostly the budget and the time that you need to decide, but being more like scientific about it doesn't mean that you will get the better results comparing to just launching 3 creatives in one ad set and seeing what the algorithm picks up. Thank you.
Any more questions? Okay, thank you, Agnieszka. Thank you very much. Now will be kind of, session about the investment landscape. It's kind of one of my favorite topics as well. It's quite important one, especially in C region, when this overall in the investment landscape is hard, but I think in the C region it's even harder very often. So if we look at the different pieces of the data, I think in the last months we had more and more really good reports around the investment in the gaming space. This was coming from Quantum Gaming Update. We see that overall, if we look at the last months, the gaming investments are really growing. At the same time, most of the time we see just smaller number of bigger transactions. Yeah, so like a lot of that investment is kind of growing after, we see very bad years in 2023, beginning of 2024. Since that, the total value of those transactions is going up, but it's just not necessarily growing number of transactions. Yeah, so we see like growing number of investments, but again, mostly in the later stage of investment, yeah? And it's not really the topic over on the gaming. That's data from Deal Room, so it's for whole tech ecosystem overall, like different other verticals like medtech, biotech, and so on. We see that starting from end of 2022, we see more and more red, which means that more and more money that is put into later stage type of investment. Yeah? So a lot of those early stage investments, like early stage funds, the position or role of it is taken by like angel syndicates. Overall, we see more of the funds activity in the later stage, not only in gaming, but overall in the whole tech. And of course, it happens in case of not only gaming, but overall in apps. We see that whole gamification is actually big topic in apps. Whoever is looking at the topic, I'm really encourage you. There is really good, nice new kind of invest game, new report about gamification. It's showing like exactly what is really happening in that space. Still, we see some kind of positive moves on the markets, like the overall revenue multiples in the public markets are growing. maybe except Poland, because Poland is not really the good example here, but overall, on the public market, the revenue multiples, like how much the company is worth based on the revenue is actually growing, and we see that actually happening in the last quarters. But still, overall, if we look at the industry as the whole, we can see that 2025 is not easy in terms of the funding. Yeah, so it kind of is going down, especially by total number of runs, not by size, because total money invested in gaming is growing, but again, mostly in the later stage of investing. Which means that overall, if we look at the whole perspective, if we look at, okay, that's how theory we have this investment landscape, yeah, that we have some pre-seed, that it used to be at least was to create MVP, kind of, early stage of the game. Then we have seed when we had early traction, and we had the idea to, okay, that seed will be starting to grow the company. And then we have round A that used to be kind of used for growth. I would say in the last 2-3 years, it changed a lot in that perspective. What it means? So at first, pre-seed is usually now what used to be seed in the past. So it used to be that, of course, in the past, when you were raising seed, if you were raising pre-seed, you didn't need to have anything. You are just building MVP. Now, very often, when you are even raising pre-seed money, you are asked about, okay, what do you have to show? Do you have at least some prototype or something? Which means that if you like it or not, of course, part of the story is coming from the fact that we have more and more kind of, no-code solutions or kind of like different solutions that are able to create some prototype or like early version, or at least kind of something that people can see with not a lot of effort. And understanding is that even if you are looking for pre-seed, you need to have something. Of course, unless you have very, very strong network, yeah, because again, it used to be that this investment in gaming, it used to be very network driven, but now it's even more than ever. So again, that's why at early stage, either you have something to show, or you have very strong network when people just put the money based on your name, based on experience, because let's see, you are leaving, let's see, Plarium, and then you are creating new company, and there is strong belief coming from your network. Okay, you are a very strong person, you know the industry, you know the stuff, so you will be able to do something meaningful. And that's we see overall, not only in the sea, but that's what we happening overall everywhere. Yeah, when especially early stage investments are coming to people who are like veterans, who have just something to show, or they're coming from the very close network. Yeah, when again, because early stage investment is based on belief, and then belief either is coming from your name, from your network, or it's coming from the people who trust you and you believe that you will deliver. And again, that was the case in the past, but now it's way, way more than it used to be. And of course, if we look at kind of overall, we see that it's easier now to raise money for solutions and tools for gaming than for games in itself. Yeah. So even if we compare some some pre-seed runs or like seed runs, we see that overall you have way, way more venture capital funds or like even private investors that are happy to kind of invest money in the solutions. I'm not necessarily believe it's the best idea, because very often you have a lot of solutions fighting for exactly for the same market. So let's see, even like this. But again, I think the belief from the venture capital is that again, platform, something that you can really create a few solutions for, is better than just the gaming studio or like GameCamp, if we like it or not. Sometimes getting very, very even extreme, like, there was, for example, round, like seed round for 40 million. There is even, like a few weeks ago, there was seed round with valuation of 400 million. So again, we can say that they are crazy, but again, those funds that have a lot of money, once they believe in something, they bet a lot. But again, usually having smaller bets, but really big ones. If we look at the seed, what happened in seed? In seed, overall, I think a lot of, based on my observations, a lot of venture capital funds almost moved out from the seed funding. So that's why I would say that in many cases it's kind of easier to raise money for pre-seed than even seed, because on pre-seed you have a little bit more angels, or like the people like syndicates. On the seed, a lot of funds that used to be seed funds, they move to the early A rounds. Like a lot of even the most important seed funds focus on gaming and apps, they move forward towards late stage fundings. Sometimes they even started to behave more like the private equity. Yeah? When they prefer to have less rounds, but for example, each round is not smaller than 10 million or something like that. And of course, those markets that have the local, strong local sentiment, they have strong advantage. When I was at Moby Dictum in Turkey, someone told me that based on estimates around like almost 60% of the investment in gaming was in Turkey alone. So that's of course like once you have very specific sentiment in the market, you have a lot of people who are investing, believing in the gaming, then of course it's creating the growth of the gaming. Yeah, I think that's a little bit the pity that, for example, like in Poland or in Central Eastern Europe, even a lot of people who like earn a lot of money from gaming, not necessarily many of them, they put some money back to the industry. I think, again, some markets like Turkey, Vietnam, when it's happening much more often, then overall in this whole competitive perspective, they are in much better situation. That's why even again, if you look even at, let's see, the last rounds, much more, for example, is happening in Turkey. But again, that started from this belief that there is potential in that industry. And of course, I think some people who are like applying or like trying to create and get some investment from venture capital, not necessarily understand how it works. So that's why, for example, big difference that exists between when you are trying to get money from VC versus like let's angels or private people. For VC and venture capital, the market needs to be big. So there is estimates or like at least believe that if you are asking let's see, the venture capital fund for the seed investment, the market that you are fighting for should be big enough that potentially exit from your company should return the whole fund. So that's why if you are asking, let's see, for 2 millions, you should at least show the market that you should show potential that your company can be potentially like 50, 100x of that investment. So that's why overall, for example, even if we look at the data, we see that like even in Turkey or like in other markets, for example, there are so many investments, for example, happening in Match 3 or Match merge categories, for example, or like Forex strategy, because they are like big growing markets, which means that are like perfect markets for venture capital funds in terms of investments. Then, of course, whenever you are like fighting for that money, it's very, very important to understand what is good and what is bad result. Because again, especially for venture capital funds, you need to prove that you are doing something much better than average. So for example, here are more like average results for the retention rates for the top 1,000, top 10,000 games. And those are more kind of average results for like better games, but which means that if you would like to get the, for example, investment from venture capital, probably you should aim at least 5% percentage point higher than those numbers, for example, yeah? And then, of course, like when you are trying to get this money, you need to prove that you know what you are talking about, you understand that market, what is your unique ability to win, yeah? So that's why, of course, those people who are either veterans, who have the teams coming from veterans, that they have, of course, much easier way to prove, okay, yeah, we understand, we know that genre, we know that business, but again, even if you are not coming from King or if you are not coming from any top gaming company, whatever you are asking for money, you should really prove in your deck, in your discussion, that you really know that topic and you really have the ambition to win. And then you have some really unique understanding of users coming from that specific market. And then if you look at the last round, like the A round, or like we have some B round, what we see as well is that overall, of course, a lot of those rounds, a lot of those ideas are coming from the idea that even if we have some early results, always when we have specific data and we start to scale the data, very often on one side the average value of the users is going down and the average price of them is going up. So that's why, of course, we don't have many A rounds, but once they are happening, they are getting really big. So that's why, for example, we see like this big round, for example, for Cyber Games, when you have like this 120, they raise like 30 million, because again, if we are scaling specific business, it's not linear scaling, yeah? That it will require a lot of effort, a lot of specific activities to make it work. Of course, what is happening as well on the market, we see really strong growth of the growth financing as well. I think almost every venture capital company started to do some growth financing as well. Like Bitcraft started growth financing, V-Games just started growth financing, Metica is doing growth financing. So like I think that part of the growth, I think it used to be much harder. Now I think that because there are like much more alternatives to just that doing the runs, I think this later stage of growth is getting a little bit easier than it used to be. So that's why I would say the most of the challenge in the gaming I see in the early stage rather in the late. Because of course, like from the equity perspective, very often if you have some business model that works, giving away equity for the money for growth, it can be one of the most expensive ways to gather the growth. Yeah, because for example, if we see that, like we believe that our company will double the value after like 2 years, the cost of capital for us is like 200%. Yeah, but if you are borrowing that money, probably that cost could be like 30, maybe even lower percentage. Yeah, so that's why there's idea for this growth financing overall. And what else? I think what we need to kind of, what we need to understand what is happening beyond that topic is that I think, again, the industry is getting more and more specialized, which means that whoever you are talking to the investors, you need to, at first, avoid silly mistakes. Silly mistakes showing that you do not know what you are talking about, yeah? And you still see the people who are saying, we will create a game similar to the Brawl Stars, just better one, yeah? Or, we did the game for PC, did not work, so let's do something for mobile, yeah? Or my colleague created the mobile game 6 years ago, he's getting 30,000 installs from organic. In our model, we'll do similar assumption, yeah? He created the game 5 years ago. He's getting a few thousand of installs from organic, so we believe we'll have the same. And I think we need to really, that's why I think the idea behind the meetings and sessions like this one is really make sure that even if we are passionate about like making games, if we are doing those games, looking at, we spend some time on the market research, we are just avoiding those mistakes that are very, very basic. Because again, especially if most of that early stage financing is coming from the like angels, syndicates, or like small venture capital funds, and we do not have the network, we should show from the first minute of the meeting that really we understand the gaming. We really understand how hard business it is, how competitive business it is, and we still believe that we can really win that business. And I think, again, it's not very scientific, but this belief in the success, not naive, but passionate belief, knowledgeable belief, I think it's really something important more than ever in gaming. And that would be all from my side. Again, the investment landscape is getting challenged, but still the situation is getting improved, especially in the later stage. I think I would say this middle part is the hardest now. Early, very early, you have, I would say, quite a few angels or like the people who are from the industry, but again, those people cannot offer big tickets. I would say this middle part is hard, and then later stage, I think it's really kind of way more dynamic than it used to be. That's why you need to understand the stage you are at. Yeah? So that make sure that you understand, how much money you need, who can give you that money at a specific stage. You like making sure that you avoid the mistakes. Like for example, you are asking from the fund 300,000. Versus if you look at all last transactions of that fund, they were spending minimum 2 million, yeah? Which means that it doesn't make sense to talk with them, yeah? Because they have specific idea or approach towards the investing, and they will not just change it for you. Choose the right audience for the proposal, yeah? Either you have big idea, you are starting from maybe VC from the beginning, and unless you have either a very strong network or you have very strong USP, it will be very hard for you. Or you are doing some step-by-step, you create something, show the progress, then you ask for more, and then you do it step by step. Of course, in that case, you are spending much more money on investments, but at least you have some progress. But still, I believe the mobile gaming and apps is really still a huge market. Again, there are still investors that believe in that. Again, I think that this gaming part became way more market specific. So overall, if you look at the gaming or app investments overall at the world perspective, they are not bad. But it's just, again, in those markets when there are not many people who believe in the market and really the opportunity in the gaming and apps market, then it's very hard to raise that investment. And of course, whatever you go to other markets, then it's a little bit not easy because you don't have market and you don't have the network there. Okay, that would be all from my side. If you have any questions, happy to answer that. Let's see if you have some questions. Do you think there is turnaround from AI and money coming back to the traditional gaming market? Very hard question. So I think there are a few questions inside that one. Yeah, the first one, there is quite a lot of signals showing that this AI market is heavily inflated. So of course, valuations are high, especially for the people with a strong network, the people who are I was showing even the example where, like, like there was one company doing one of the biggest seed round with valuation of 400 million in October. And a few weeks ago, like even a few days ago, someone approached me proposing me secondaries from that idea with 1 billion valuation, yeah? After 2 months, 2.5 increase of that valuation. What could happen during the 2 months? Not much, probably, yeah? So that's why, of course, we have a lot of kind of hype. Of course, a lot of that hype is coming, just some stuff is just easier to sell. Because again, I think many investors, they see the gaming as more kind of commodity. Like, okay, everyone can create a game. It's harder for them to understand, okay, game doesn't mean game. Like, one game doesn't equal the game, yeah? So it's like, it's... so I think, overall, I'm expecting this kind of gaming market growing overall, like by investments. I don't think it will reach that hype as we see in the AI. On the other side, I'm expecting quite a few people lose money on AI. But quite a few people will probably earn quite a lot of money as well. For sure, from the venture capital perspective, AI, it's way more coming to the core of the venture capital as the idea. Yeah? So you are betting for the future. So again, I think the AI would be still growing, but of course, it's big but extremely competitive space as well. I think there was the list that is showing all companies from the latest Y Combinator batch. They usually, in every Y Combinator batch, there's around a little bit more than 100 companies. And I was looking at the last one from 2025. I think 70 of them were from AI. And I saw in a few cases when like almost 5 companies were doing exactly the same. Is it sustainable? Not necessarily. Will some people win? Yes. So that, I think, is the case where I believe still from someone who knows the stuff, seems to me still it's easier to earn money on gaming. It's still very hard, but it's kind of, I think the quality of the project is really improving. The price ratio of price to quality is really good in gaming now. But of course, it's much harder to have the interest for games for the people who are not coming from games. So that's why, again, as I was mentioning, those markets that have veterans or the people to earn money from gaming, so they have knowledge, they have network, and they have resources, and put that in the local ecosystems, those ecosystems are in much better situations and much better shapes. That's what I can say. It's worth to search funding for mobile games in Poland. I mean, it's worth to search everywhere. Probably it's not, it's like, it's true that there are not so many people who invest in gaming in Poland. And again, I'm very present. Yes? I'm very honest. I'm always very honest, yeah? No, but I think it's always, I would start, it depends how much money you need. If you need, let's see, if you need more than 1 million, it will be very hard to find it in Poland. Because everyone in Poland is looking at the, for example, stock price. It's comparing the price of the companies there, and it's asking, okay, so how much, what is the valuation of the company? I could buy it very easily without any risk, yeah? So that's why If you want to find like 100,000 to 100,000, it's doable. If you want to find like 3 millions, 5 millions, good luck. So that's I would say. Yeah. So that's why overall. But again, it's not only case for Poland, being honest. Yeah. So like countries like UK, where it used to be very easy to find money for gaming, it's not so easy anymore. Countries like even US, it's not so easy anymore. So where do you suggest to look for money? I think it's very depending on the project. So that's why, for example, if you have core games like strategy, role playing, for those types of games, I would look the money for in Asia actually. I would look for money in South Korea, China, because in like Taiwan, because people from those markets love those games. If I have casual gaming, then I would look in US. I would look in UK, because again, all those big brands that are very present there, like Balderton or Makers Fund, Play Ventures, they are actually very active mostly in the casual gaming. So that's why. And then, of course, if we have some, AI-based solutions, then mostly US. Okay, I think that's all. So I think we can move to our last presentation. So let's invite Svetlana, who will be talking about the Tap to Win. Stage is yours.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Svetlana Matlai, and I'm design team lead and creative consultant at Unity. I'm helping our clients to adjust and optimize their creative strategy. And today we will talk about interactive creatives and why they are becoming the more and more important part of the UA. So yeah, we have our game, we worked on it a lot, so we want to advertise it. And we can choose social channels, we can choose SDK channels. Basically, there is a big variation of channels we can do advertisement. But we need to remember that these channels have their specific points where we can touch our users more effectively. And if we are talking about SDK platforms like Iron Source, Unity, AppLovin, etc., so we need to remember that there is not only videos, but as well the playables. So we need to understand that market is developing, market is progressing, and users are progressing as well. So it's hard to hold their attention already when we have videos like 60 seconds to 2 minutes, and not everyone, basically no one, wants to watch an ad for 2 minutes long. Like, you want to open that box, come on. And you need to watch ad for 2 minutes. Or you have life spent and you need to try again. So that's why playables becoming more and more effective in reaching our users and acquiring our users, because they are actually giving them the opportunity to play and have control on what they are experiencing. So a little bit of numbers. These are numbers for the 2024, but in this year I believe there will be even more. And they were bigger numbers. So first of all, 35, where is it? Where is this? Yeah, 35% of spend was allocated to playable in ad campaigns compared to other creative types. So we already see that this ad type is acquiring more and more place in our creative campaigns. And what impact it had? So rise of the metric of impression to install among non-top spender was 16 times. If you are talking about top spenders, and there is always slower thing, it's 8 times. So it's already a huge difference. So who is already winning from the playables? It is logically to assume that games are winning, and we have some genres that are already actively using playables like hyper casual, casual. Actually, they started arcade, strategy, puzzle, casino. All of them are already winning from that. But there's also another audience which is non-gaming. And here we can talk about kids education app, basically any app that has some activity in that. Maybe it's drawing, maybe it's polls, like music, etc. Dating. And also some rewarding apps. So you walk, you earn kilometers, etc. So they can be also using this ad type a lot and win from this app type. Why? Playables are already working better from the videos. So first of all, it is because of the control. So when you are watching ads, you're just watching. And if you are playing the playable, you are having this control. You can impact experience. Basically, all of your actions, they are having some feedback from the game itself. So if you are taking a look on the developer's point of view, it is basically a test try of your game. It is a great opportunity to test different mechanics that you want to implement in your game and like don't know if they will be working or not. So you can easily test it with other users. Also, you will achieve higher engagement rate. And also, you will collect some behavioral data from your users. If you are talking about users' point of perspective, as I said already, feel of control, test drive the game, you will have feedback on your action, you will have option to lose and option to try again. And we want users to lose and try again because fail is one of the most important and stronger hooks. And also, playables are the ad type that is easily catching users' attention. If we are watching videos, it's harder. If we are having something to play, it's easier. And then 72% of players who exposed to high quality ads, they keep playing. They download the game, they will go to the game, especially if it was original gameplay, they will take a look on it, play, enjoy, download the game, and most probably will stay there for longer. Cool. So, who can make playables? This is a quite interesting question, which is always rising when we are talking about playables. Usually people think that it's only developers who can develop playables, and that's it. So, I'm a small studio, I need a developer, maybe I don't want to spend a lot of budget in playables yet. But there is another option, basically two more options, instead of just having a developer and paying him a lot of money to make your playables. You can try to build playables or interactive end cards from the tools that are allowing. So it can be Unity Playworks, it can be a tool from Playable Factory, which is Flex, which are allowing you to build playables using just video and basically setting the poses in a correct amount of time, so it will be like a simulated playable with pre-programmed scenario. And you don't need even developer for that. Basically, even designers can do that, and actually it's a good point to involve your creative team in this process, because then they will understand more about users' behavior, and that will drive their motivation more. I know this because I was a designer once, and then I started to develop playables, and it was, like I said today already to one of the attendees, it was like growing another hand. Like I had one before, I was just a designer, and then I started to build playables, and I understood that I had whole world which I can explore and actually impact users' experience. And of course, there is specialized studios, for example, like Playable Factory, which is a studio and company that is specialized on that. And if you have like ad networks that are showing playables, most probably in those ad networks, you will have studios that are helping you with the development of that playables. In Unity, it's Ad Design Studio. So, what are the best practices and strongest motivators in the playables? So first of all, it's rescue. We all seen these ads when you need to help a woman who has been let out of your house with a child in winter, etc. It is still super strong hook. Still users are reacting to that in videos, in playables, everywhere. We just need to wrap it in a good story because storytelling is the king. We need to let users fail, and we need to give them this option to retry after, because fail without retry is not complete hook. Progression from level to level, from mechanic to mechanic, from different heroes. We need not just to give users something one, it's not enough already to attract users with one mechanic or one task. We need to give them progression between different points in our game, between different levels, and show them that game has variety and that it is interesting and there is not only one thing to do. Curiosity, also very interesting hook about what is behind that door or what's inside that box. Will I want to open it, or what will be the next level? So people are always curious, and we need to use that curiosity as a hook. Choice. Also, it's something about personalization. That's why these two hooks are connected. So we all love to make choices. When you even see the video of the woman freezing, we need to choose what will help her, like I don't know, match to fire the wood or like the gas, probably the match because gas is too much. So we love to make choices, and it's motivating us to continue because once we made a choice, it's already on us, the fate of that woman, the fate of that task. That's why choice is so good. From the other side, we have goals. So as Mario showed, we have scale and we have quality, and basically you can sit on these two chairs at the same time. When we have increase in quality, most probably we have a decrease in scale, and vice versa, because like as we can see in playables, it's also correlating. When we are doing shorter creatives with high CTR, with strong hook, maybe some misleading mechanic, when we are sending users to store by surprise, we will have high CTR, higher scale, but if we want quality, it is about longer creatives, longer time spent in the creatives, more levels, more choices, more different mechanics. So we also all these creatives that are like 5 minutes long already when you are like riding a horse and fighting the enemies, collecting coins, building something, and then you've been taken to store when you already reached this amazing city you built and you want to enjoy it. But then you've been taken to the store and like, okay, I need to continue. I'll download most probably. Fail and retry, which is super important thing to do. A lot of advertisers, they are making the same mistake, and a lot of developers, advertisers, they are giving closed experience. So we tried something, we did something, and then we won or we lose, and that's it. Play now button, go to the store. But I already finished. I want maybe more, but I've not been proposed to do more. That's why we need to make this open end, to propose next level, to give next task, and it's also about progression. So we need to leave this extra space, extra something, to stay in this creative, so users will go to the store knowing that there is something else to do in this game and their experience is not finished yet. And of course, the moment for conversion is super important. We need to remember to convert users and send them to store when they are motivated the most. So before this final touch, before this final shot to the boss, for example, or when they reached the reward, they have this box already and they want to tap and open it, and we are sending them to store. Like, I want to reach it. I'm motivated. And when I go to the store, there is most probably I will convert and download the game. A little bit about re-engagement. And we have an amazing case here with Rovio that we did a playable for them. And we have this graph that is looks like a roller coaster, right? So it is looking like a roller coaster for a reason. Because when we have a roller coaster experience, we are not just going up and then all the way down, and that's it. In the end, we have like stop and there is nothing else in the end of this roller coaster except of the finish. No, we have different twists, we have different turns. It is scary sometimes. It is like always fascinating and attracting us all the time because there is different heights, different turns. And in the end, we have open end. We can do it one more time if we want to go to that line again and stay. But we can do it, and we see that there's opportunity to do this. That's why it's important to implement this in playables as well. Like, for example, in this case, we have engagement. In the beginning, we are showing boss that he's waiting for us, but first we need to go over some levels. And we have 3 levels. In the end of level 1, I think, once we had a successful task, we will have choice of the burst, which is upgrade. So basically, we are given a micro reward to re-engage the user and uplift their engagement a bit. And then when we have like better bird, it has bigger impact, it's showing significant changes, we are going to different level. Once we are completing it, we see the boss. Like, this is our goal. So you see here we have a choice. Then we go to another level, there's a bomb, and it's more interesting to fight. And here we have boss. Tap on this scene, send into store. Basically, when we are motivated the most, we spend all of our time preparing for the boss, and then we go to the store, and we want to continue. A little bit about different points to send users to store, which I mentioned already, like not to give finished experience, but to send to store by surprise with some promise of something else that will happen or something else to explore, or when users are motivated the most. So for example, we have fail, and instead of play now button, we can give this try again button, or even give a few taps of additional try, and then send users to the store after that. And it will help us to engage user much more than just play now button, because we are actually giving this one more chance. Or for example, it's a reward. It can be mysterious reward, it can be open reward, so you will see like a lot of bonuses or like boosters or something else, and you will have button claim. This is also a case. New stage reached. Like you spent your emotions, you spent your time, and you've got a new stage, which is great. You want to try it, it's Christmas vibe. Tap on button fight is send it to store. Or you're like in the fight, you're in a dynamic, you are fighting and you need to recruit new forces because you are failing, of course. And you can choose between mage and swordsman. And this choice is sending also to the store, because like at the moment when you need this. Or for example, in the end, right before reaching the goal, as we did in Rovio case, when you are reaching the boss and you need to fight this boss after you spend some time in the playable, tap, go to store. So all these cases, all these examples are showing how easily and how many different options you can test and see where exactly you can send user to store in your game. And results of this test will be for each game different, of course, because each game is dependent. We can't say that sending to store on this boss will work more efficient than on the next task or activity. You need to test it in your game, you need to spend some time, budget, but still you need to test it. And there's no silver bullet for some great decision. So a little bit about testing, because testing is a great theme and it was touched today already, but this is a little bit different. It's about testing of the playables and how we usually approach the testing. So first of all, there's much more formats than just simple playable, which can be done by developer or by your team. There's also interactive end cards, which are more limited playables, can be done in the video, can be done just simple poster with one tap, with a strong hook. So usually we are using interactive end cards for the first iterations of test, to test ideas, to test concepts, mechanics. It can be a lot of creatives, and all of them can be pretty short, like 1 to 3 tabs, to just test the initial idea. And then when you test this initial idea, and for example, chosen out of these 3 ideas, the best one, like for example, is here, the original gameplay with some donuts, with the sorting. We can expand this idea, add some limits, add some additional motivation with rescue or additional motivation with orders. So it still will be the same gameplay with sorting, but it will be additional details and motivation or limits. And then after we receive the results of this test, of this second iteration, we can do a polished creative. And this is where basically on this stage you can also do a playable already if like your capacity of your team is allowing. But this one is like the best way to do it in the end, when you have like all the details tested, polished concept, you have the data behind it. And also there is another mistake that a lot of developers are doing to test the skins. So they found one great concept and they are testing different skins, like for example, donuts against croissants, against cakes or muffins, etc. Of course, we can test skins and we can test donuts against the croissants, and eventually we will get a digital sugar diabetes to our users, but it is more interesting and more efficient to test the concepts that are giving your ideas about your users' behavior in your ads, and some insights that you can use in your next iterations. So for example, here in the, in the beginning, we used 3 completely different concepts. So we used the choice of the level, the original gameplay, and then reward. So it will give us more information about how users behave in our ads and what is motivating them the most. And then eventually you can test details and polish that concept, and then have the third iteration or 4th or 5th with already creative that has some data behind it. It can be more than 3 creatives, it can be 5, 6, more, all based on the capacity of your team. But the most important thing is to make meaningful tests that are impacting the metrics, CTR, CVR, engagement rates. And also what is important in playables, especially in longer ones, to implement custom events that will show you when users drop off, did they use button play now in the end of creative, or the button play now that was in the creative for whole time, which choice they made, when they interacted the most, after which scene they dropped, etc. So it's not enough already to just build a playable. You need to read that playable and read results of that playable, because otherwise you will be just assuming why that playable worked and the other was not working. So that's it for my end. And if any questions, please feel free to ask. Maybe we have something online. Yeah. Okay, do you think high CTRs and large engagements are falsely reported as more enjoyed due to the predatory behavior today, like hidden eggs or out of shop openings? I wouldn't say they are falsely reported as more enjoyed, because high CTR, they are not enjoyed. You've been sent to store after the first click or like second click, and mostly you like maybe you won't enjoy it. But there's still a huge audience that was sent to the store by this click, And some of them will enjoy the store, and some of them will enjoy the mechanic of the game. So there is still, this question of chicken egg, basically, as you said as well. Like, will I win more from creatives that had high CTR and sent more users to the store? Or from the creatives that sent less users to the store, but they were quality users? In the end, the numbers can be the same or even more on the scale side. So, yeah.
I will ask, like, do you know maybe what type of games or apps do you see where those playable works the best? Like, from your experience, where you see the best outcome in terms of the user engagement, quality of users? Like, you probably work with a lot of different types of games and apps. Which one do you see, like, where, okay, once I have that game, that type of game, I should really consider playables?
So for sure, it's puzzle, match-free, board games, etc. All kind of puzzles, actually, because puzzle is a huge genre. Strategies, for sure, we see now, and you showed also the examples of the top gaming. So they are heavily on playables, on the SDK platforms, so we can say that playables are impacting their performance a lot.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much. I think, thank you for the great presentation. Thank you for everyone, for your attention. Thank you for everyone who was, watching us online. Now let's join some networking. Our hosts, if you would love to kind of, test out, our hosts are showing their games. If you'd like to test out onboarding and for Monopoly World, you feel free to do it as well here. And now let's have the good network and discussion between us. Thank you very much.